Hello. Okay, good. The audio's working. Hi, friends. It's Wednesday. It's Wads Day. I don't have a fancy name for this one yet because it's not Wildlife Wednesday anymore. It's Wads Wednesday is what it is. We're going to talk about my personal life, maybe. Wads Day? Hi, Sam. Hi, Saida. Hi, Colton. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out. Okay, my audio works good. I need to plug in my phone. Oh goodness. So I debated doing this stream today because I'm absolutely exhausted. I've had just a long past couple of days and I'm just mentally and physically exhausted. Not Wildlife Wednesday. It's not. I probably won't be doing dedicated Wildlife Wednesdays anymore. I will still probably talk about animals here and there, but I wanted to make this more of a cohesive mental health thing. Listen, I haven't touched the channel rewards, so if you want animal facts, they're still there. But I wasn't going to stream, but also last time I had such a good time just hanging out and chatting, and I was nervous because I wasn't sure I'd be able to fill an hour of just talking, even because I hadn't made notes, I hadn't prepared, because I always feel like I have to super prepare for things, but I'm learning that I don't. So I was like, I'll just talk about some more of the things I meant to talk about last time. We'll see where it goes. You look really nice today. Thank you. I literally have been wearing a toque all day. I yanked it off and finger combed my hair. And I put on this because that's how I'm feeling today. So yeah, I just wanted to more time to chat about because I feel like we didn't really get to finish, my journey, because I had some things I wanted to talk about still. And so I wanted to do that tonight. And then on Saturday, I'm really excited because I'm going to have a guest. We're getting back to the mental health podcast with guests. Ideally, they'll be every other week, but this week is going to be, or not this week, this month, or the next 2 months are going to be a little funky because I'm doing charity streams and because of Christmas and stuff. So I believe what it's going to be is the next 2 weeks. We're going to have guests, and then next 2 weeks we're going to have guests. The Saturday after that, I'm doing a charity stream. The next 2 weeks, again, we're having guests. The 26th, I'm not going to stream because it's the day after Christmas. And then from there, probably, hopefully, every other week. I've only booked the first four guests, but I'm really excited. I had a chat with the lovely girl who I'm going to be podcasting with on Saturday, and she was super excited and just made me super excited, and I'm just excited. Anyway. But for tonight, we're going to talk about self-confidence. I have this giant thing of apple juice. Here it is. Jus de pomme. Here's the English for anyone who doesn't speak French. And I just decided I was going to drink apple juice and talk about my life. And that's what we're doing. That's why it's just chatting and not a podcast, because I didn't really know what this would be. And I didn't feel like it was going to be educational enough to be a podcast. Hydrate. I'm gonna sippy some. Oh god, this is a bad idea. Okay. Oh, easy. Can you hear that? Can you hear the good pouring sounds? So I'm just gonna sit here with my teacup and drink juice. I'm gonna drink the juice, the juice apple. Yep. Also, these cups are fun. I have weird square cups, and I always drink out of one of the corners because it's fun. Germo mustard, please. Right, so where were we long ago? Long ago. We were talking about I think we were just kind of talking about where I was at in grade 12 and then up to where I'm at now. Piss. No, don't say that in my chat. I'm gonna ban that word. Anyways, but as a maybe quick-ish recap, I'm gonna say, when I was in grade 12, that was the pit. That was the worst year of my life. And then from there, it got better and better, but it got better kind of slowly, a little bit better every year. Up until now, and it's just getting better and better again. And it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. Well, actually, it didn't take me that long to figure out what I wanted to do, because I always secretly knew what I wanted to do. It just took me a while to be okay with it. Hi, Casturbator. That's a fun name. Hello. Welcome. So there is that. But one of the things I want to talk about today, because I've talked about this before, I don't know, about like on podcast. I'm a fun person. Okay. Welcome, Caster. I'm just going to call you Caster. I feel like that's better. I do like the word Caster. Anyway. But one thing I wanted to talk about was my actual little like journey to self-confidence, because I feel like I had kind of a call me whatever, I am not picky. Caster it is. So, because I think what happened with me is, you know, there's that whole thing about like, you know, fake it till you make it and stuff, and that is kind of a thing you can do with confidence and stuff. I think what happened is I have always I think come off as a very confident person, but I wasn't a very confident person for a long time. But because I wanted to be liked, and I knew that confident people were like more likely to be liked, I think I projected confidence, and eventually that turned into actual confidence, but I think it took some time to get there, because got a sip. Like when I was in high school was a bad time for me, because I just really, well, even, you know, like end of elementary school, just that whole like period, you know, when you're like a teenager, the bad times. It was a bad time. I did not have a good time. But I just, you know, I wanted to be liked, because we all want to be liked. And I was dealing with the fact that my sister, who is a wonderful person and we're very close and she's lovely, but I always felt like she, you know, was more popular than me, more successful with the boys, whatever, and so on and so forth. And I always compared myself to her, and it was really bad for my self-confidence, as you can imagine. And like, I just always felt like the people I wanted to like me didn't really like me, because what happened was in grade 9, I just became friends with like who I wanted to be friends with, and I should have stuck with them. Although the people I was friends with in grade 9 were very into like Jesus, and I'm very much not into Jesus. So that's probably for the best, honestly. But, you know, like in grade 9, I was like a little drama kid, and I hung out with them, and I dated a guy in that circle. And then in grade 10, I think I started caring a bunch about the, you know, I just started caring about like status, and I distanced myself from those people and tried to become friends with other people. And what ended up happening was I was just like kind of friends with a lot of people, and I wasn't really friends with many people. And I had a best friend, and then we had a falling out in grade 11, and we weren't friends for the rest of high school. So that wasn't fun. Yeah. But again, I don't know. I think one of the things is I always just tried to be more confident than I was feeling. And I think I was pretty good at it. But I honestly, I don't know that it made people like me more. It's okay. You'll lose all your friends by 30. Part of getting old. Well, I honestly, I feel like already, speaking of that, like not even just with COVID's made it worse, but I was thinking lately about how many friends have just kind of like come and gone, which isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but it is kind of sad. You know, like at my job that I worked at for the last 3 summers, I made some really good friends, and then we kind of just moved to different cities, and I don't see them anymore. And I'm not really I don't really keep in contact with people that I'm not going to see. Well, there's two sort of camps, right? Like I have online friends, obviously. And then I have, you know, real life people. But then some, like there's people in the middle, which is like, I'd be happy to chat with them again, but I just don't, our relationship is not the same being over text or whatever, and I just don't enjoy it that much, and so I don't like hold on to those, which I think is okay, but it is kind of sad to think about. I stopped being friends with a good chunk of people from high school. I'm really happy about the memories I have with them. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. But like sometimes, you know, like my best friend from high school, we had a falling out. We didn't like talk for a while. And then like a couple of years ago, we reconnected and it was wonderful to see her. And in the last 2 years, maybe, she moved out to BC, I think, and she got engaged. And like she seems like she's figured herself out and is very different from how she was in high school, which I think is really good for her. And I'm so happy for her. I love, you know, seeing her post and seeing her go on little adventures. And I just also get really sad because I just miss our friendship. I'm 30 minutes car ride south of BC. Well, maybe you can go visit her. I live in Ontario, so I'm not quite close. And it's just, you know, like I feel like you lose people for a lot of different reasons, but I think a lot of times people just kind of move out of your life and it's not because of anything bad, it's just kind of the way it is. So yeah, keeping friends and making friends is so much harder in like your 20s, and I presume you have worse in your 30s, but I'm not there yet, so we're not going to worry about it. Anyway, back to high school. There I was a little angry child in a Catholic school. Man, social media made maintaining connections with people so much easier. Let me just say that. Yeah, I do like seeing what people are doing. I just really can't maintain text relationships because I just don't like texting that much. It's different with online people, but I feel like it's because that's how the relationship was established. Like if you establish a relationship with someone in person, it's much harder to transition it to like very limited contact and stuff. But yeah, social media has been very good for that. But anyway, and like I think back to the confidence thing, the interesting thing was like even when I was feeling horrible, even when I was like depressed and whatever, I still presented this like confidence, or tried to, and I think I kind of used it as a shield, perhaps. I had a couple of friends from high school who don't have any social media that I don't have any tabs on anymore than that. Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of social media, so I'm sure I'm not the easiest person to track, but honestly, I think it's better that way. I don't want people to know where I'm at. But yeah, so I think the interesting thing about my whole self-confidence thing is I think I kind of started my like the original root of my self-confidence wasn't like a good one, because it wasn't because I actually believed in myself. It's because I wanted to be liked. God, I hope nobody I went to high school with can track me down. They're all savage. So I think that's just been interesting, because there has been, I mean, I'm still working on this, but now I'm kind of like aware on it. Golden's not here anymore, 7 years. But there was a long period of time up till now where, and I talked about this in therapy multiple times, and it was really frustrating because it was like I felt like I knew that I was, you know, pretty and smart and capable, but yet somehow underneath that I still had serious self-worth issues. And it was very hard to deal with because, you know, I felt like I was basing my self-worth. Well, I was basing my self-worth on like, I don't even know what. I don't know. Because again, it was like I was aware that I didn't doubt that I was attractive or that I was smart or that I was capable, but somehow I still didn't think I was enough. And it was and kind of still is very hard to figure out like what was underlying that, you know, and trying to like figure out what I deserved. There's a slippery slope, let me tell you. And I think I had a huge, I'm just making sure the snake's not escaping. I had a very big thing about letting people treat me like kind of however they wanted for a long time, because that's what I thought it took to be liked. and that I had to be useful to people. I had to, you know, like listen to their issues and not be too much, and so on and so forth, or they would leave me. I had a very big thing. It's getting better now about the fear of people leaving. The Great Snake Escape. He didn't escape while I was gone, thankfully. Yeah, I left the snakes for a little bit when I went home. And they're totally fine. So, nobody escaped. Everybody's good. Nobody has bitten me in a while. So we're doing well, I think. Where was I? The only God, the problem with this is I very quickly lose track of where I was. My brain not so good at the going back to where I was thing. Also, this is, I may have talked about this, I may not. This is just a random side thing, but I might either move these streams earlier or I might move them all together to Tuesday because I don't love streaming in the nighttime. I prefer streaming in the day because I'm real tired right now, and it's like streaming was not necessarily the thing I wanted to be doing right now when I was tired and stuff, and I had to clean up my room. So I might move it to Tuesday, like, afternoon, because I moved, or soon, not yet, but soon I'm moving my Saturday streams to noon to 2 p.m. rather than, what is it, 10 to 12? Because I prefer mornings. I feel better in the morning. Nighttime is for relaxing and playing video games and so on and so forth. So that's probably going to happen maybe next week. Maybe not. Who knows? I can't remember when I scheduled next week's guest for. I think it was 12. I don't know. Anyway, so I've been on a bit of a journey of like not quite, well, almost like relearning the whole self-confidence thing, because I think it was like, well, I felt like I had the surface stuff figured out. I did not have the deeper stuff figured out. I worked Tuesday afternoon, but like when? Also, I mean, there'll be more than one stream a week. It's okay. Yeah, my afternoon's after your afternoon. That is correct. It would be maybe morning for you. Yeah, I don't know when I would do it. I might do it at the same time as the Saturday one, just for sake of ease. Right, because I felt like after afternoon. And I think what happened was sort of before I got to therapy and whatnot, I felt like I had the self-confidence thing figured out. I was like, no, I'm confident. I'm very confident in myself, but I still wasn't happy. And I think part of the reason for that was because I had those shallow things figured out. You know, a lot of people don't think they're attractive. Whatever works for you, battles. You know, a lot of people don't think they're pretty or don't think they're smart or don't think they're capable of doing things. And I believed I was. You know, my plan was to go be a researcher or a scientist. And I knew I could do that. And I knew people did like me, even though if in high school it didn't feel like that. Not me, I am the most pretty. Absolutely. You were the prettiest. Absolute prettiest. So, yeah, and I think for a long time I kind of just didn't deal with those feelings, or I had a hard time dealing with those feelings, so I just kind of didn't. And then I got to therapy and we started like digging into it and I realized it was all connected. All connected. It's super hard, okay? I think I made a tweet about this lately, but it's super hard when you start really, like, when you've decided you're not gonna let people and places and things treat you in ways that are mediocre anymore, and you start having to, like, let go of things. That shit's hard. I've had, you know, a couple people lately I've let go of, like a job I let go of. I decided not to re-sign my lease for this place for several different reasons, but one of them was because one of the reasons I was going to was basically because I was scared that I wouldn't have a place for next year, even though I'm not super in love with this place. But it's really scary. And it sucks. it doesn't really feel good. I mean, it usually feels good in the long run, but it's not the easiest thing. And for a long time, I was holding on to things that were really bad for me and people that were really bad for me. And particularly, I'd say like the last 2 years have been like a steep incline. We've really gone uphill, you know? I think particularly in the last year, I've really started figuring my life out and going after the things I actually really want to go after and just being my damn self and not letting people treat me badly. But it's not easy to do. And I think especially because, you know, I don't really know if I think there's a difference between self-confidence and self-worth. I did for a while because I was like, I have self-confidence, but I have self-worth issues. So maybe. But I don't really know what like worth is. Again, trying to get into that whole concept is, what are we worth? It's just a weird place to be, and so I try to not do that anymore. I don't remember what I was saying like 5 seconds ago. I'm sorry. I had a thought and then my brain went somewhere else, but that's okay. What has happened in the last year? Many, many things. But I think, you know, the most growth happens, unfortunately, in the places that make you a little uncomfortable and are kind of scary, which is suck, but that's what it is. Anyway, so I talked about this in that one like YouTube video I made, but I presume there are probably different ways you can work on self-confidence. One of them is just like faking it, which is what I did for a long time. Although I think, again, the reasons that I went through that were not the best. Like, I feel like my motivation started off all wrong because the point of me projecting self-confidence was not because, like, it wasn't for me. I mean, it was for me, but like, it wasn't because I wanted to be more confident in myself and go after the things I wanted. And it wasn't because I thought I deserved to be more confident in myself. It was literally because I wanted other people to like me. And I thought that was a good way to do it because, you know, people talked a lot about insecurity and whatnot. And I thought it was like less desirable, I guess, to be insecure. So I was like, oh, I'm just not going to do that. And then on top of that, I just wouldn't let anybody help me with emotional stuff because I felt like my feelings were too big and people would just get annoyed with me and not want to deal with me and would leave me. And that's taken some unlearning because I have really big feelings and I'm very empathetic. So, and it can be a real curse, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. Much as it may not feel that way. But one of the ways I, have been working on my own self-confidence and other stuff, not just self-confidence, because this works for lots of things. But I think one of the best ways you can work on feelings and stuff like that is to work with the thoughts behind them. Because what I realized lately? I was making notes for, I don't know, a video or something, and I realized that somehow we think we can control our feelings. Like, we just want to like smush them or get rid of them. We don't want them anymore. We want to put them in a box and not think about them. We want to like but for some reason our thoughts, which are much more like easily changed by us than our feelings, that's something we kind of just like trust. Like, when our brain is like, oh, you suck, we're like, yeah, you're right. Which I just think is interesting because we tend to focus on wholly the wrong things. We're very good at that. We're very good at just focusing on just not the right thing at all. We're good at blaming other people and other things and so on. Pup. Hello, I'm back. My computer crashed for a bit. I'm sorry to hear that. Welcome back. I missed you. But the method I go over like in the video too. So, if you are here, but somehow you missed the next little bit of me talking, then you can go watch that. Bandicoot. But with, you know, with your feelings can be influenced by your thoughts, and we can in fact change our thoughts. And thoughts are not reality. Interesting topics. Let's see, do you like Linux? I don't really know anything about Linux, and that's a little far off what we're talking about. Try to abandon me. Oh, I see. Is self-confidence a thing in Linux? Because that would be really funny. How's it going today? It's going good. We're just having a chat about confidence. But you know, thoughts are not like, just because you think something doesn't mean it's true is the thing. And that goes for like things you think about yourselves, things that you think about other people, like a lot of stuff. Linux more like I'm not smart enough. Okay. Linux is very hard. Why are we talking about Linux? I'm gonna keep talking about my thing over here. Y'all have fun with Linux. But you know, and we really tend to believe our thoughts when they're not necessarily true. Like you could literally convince yourself anything if you thought it enough times. So it's strange to me that like when our brains present us with a thought, we're just like, oh yeah, I believe that. That's real. That's a true thing. And, you know, realizing that you can in fact work with thoughts and stuff like that is kind of like the first step in getting anywhere. I've only ever used it on Raspberry Pi and I was small and weak. Yeah. I'm gonna just open my notes so I have them out. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, and I had a fun little, not acronym, but like alliteration in the video. Because I think, first of all, realizing that, you know, the power you have to change stuff is like all up here. And you can change the stuff that's up here is step one. And noticing and realizing is kind of the first step of changing your thoughts, because you can't change them if you don't know what thoughts you're even having. And, you know, understanding what the thought is and where it comes from is the most important part of the first step, I guess. Oh yeah. God, I'm really tired. I don't know how long this is going to be, I'll be honest. Anyways, so like the first step of changing your thoughts is to realize the thoughts that you already have in your brain. Okay. I'm actually gonna go to the bathroom real fast and I will be right back. Bye. I'm back. I'm gonna pour more apple juice, and I'm gonna not pour it on my computer. So give me a second. Great. Okay. What was I just talking about? Brains and confidence. And yeah. It's been years. It has been. Okay, so what was I talking about? I was talking about the way you or one of the ways you can actually get more confidence by working with your thoughts. And step one is identifying the thoughts. And so again, you gotta notice the thoughts first. That's step number one. And that can be the hardest step because it involves having to let yourself think things and not be judgmental towards what you're thinking and sort of just like let it be. That's why one of the things I do with bad thoughts is when I realize there's a bad thought happening, like, you know, nobody likes me, I just put like, I notice I'm thinking in front of it. So instead of nobody likes me, I think, you know, or I note it in my little brain and I go, I notice I'm thinking that nobody likes me. And that immediately makes it a little like softer. It immediately gives you a little more space, I think, to sort of become curious about it and to not necessarily see it as objective truth, because it's not objective truth, but so it's no longer, you know, like a solid statement about that, because oftentimes we really like to claim we know things when we don't, which I mean that we'll get to that later because there's like a little process you can go through for that too. But there's a couple different ways of noting. You can do it by meditation. Hi Colton, thank you for sip. You can do it by You can do it by meditation, where you just kind of sit and let yourself have thoughts and sort of just like notice them as they go by and then let them go. You don't want to like grab onto them or start thinking about them to the point where you spiral, because that is not helpful to you at all. And it can be easy to do that. I had notes here about like actually having a bad stream. But another way you could do this, and I really like doing this, my snake is out. I really like doing this when I feel like I'm stuck in a feeling and I don't really know what is happening, is I do stream of consciousness journaling, which is literally you just like get, you know, a notebook or whatever and a pen, and you just start writing down like literally whatever is coming to your brain, and you just try to get it out on the paper as it comes out, and you don't like stop to consider. You just literally write everything, even if your brain is like, oh, like I'm so tired, like, oh, I need to like go get this, or like so on and so forth. You just kind of try to put yourself in the feeling and see where it goes, and then afterwards you can look at it and be like, oh, okay, I clearly am very stressed about this one thing, or I'm really holding on to this feeling about this one person, and I, you know, clearly need to do something about that. So, you know, you start to notice patterns. We all have little patterns. I know that I even have some things now where I'll just like get blindsided when I realize that, oh, I just don't think I'm special or something, and then I have to work on that. So that always takes a bit. And then after you've gotten practice noticing things and you're getting good at that kind of thing, the next step after that, once you've done your little like research into your own brain, you know, you've gotten your shovel and you've been excavating, is to move on to the challenge one, which is, hi, Miss That Face. Hi, Twink. Good to see you. I'm just having a little sort of casual stream because I'm exhausted and I think you're special. Yeah. I just noticed, speaking of which, I just noticed lately that there are some words to describe myself, like special. Well, there's some words I use to describe myself. Like, I realized lately that you know, I totally think I'm like cute and pretty, but when someone says like beautiful, I'm kind of like, I don't know. So I clearly have to work on that. But I also realized a little while ago that I had a bit of a thing about being special, and I think like usually two people, not like just in general, said the twinkle toes, you got that right. I missed you. Warrior girl checking in was out for dinner. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. So yeah, so I clearly have some things to work on with that. But I think with the special thing is I went through a relationship that was kind of non-monogamous when I didn't really want it to be non-monogamous, and then I went through a polyamorous relationship, and it helped me grow in a lot of ways, but I'd sort of like, I'm not polyamorous. But through both of those relationships I had a hell of a time with like not feeling special, and that was something that I hated and I had to work at, and I still have to work at. And I would literally, like, this is, we're jumping ahead a step here, but there was at least one time where I would take my journal and just write out all the like the I'm so special, like blah blah blah, and it felt so silly, but it did help. That blueberry head is so special to me. I'm more like a grape right now, I think. I really need to like get a haircut and then re-dye it. And I am kind of, it's so much hair to re-dye, and whatever. No. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so the challenging thing is fun. This is a Byron Katie thing that my mom taught me, so Warrior Girl taught me. And I recall doing something like this, and I, for some reason, can vividly remember sitting on the floor of my kitchen against the fridge and being really upset, and my mom, I think, trying to go through this with me, and I just didn't. I didn't want to do it. But it is very helpful, and it can be hard to get through it. Maybe Twin can cut it. Can they cut my hair too? Yeah, Sam could use a haircut. He's getting a little fluffy, I'll tell you. So the Byron Katie method of challenging it is part of a thing called the work. Yeah, you can just come over, Sam, and come here. Only ever buzzed my BS hair like that. People, my hair been cut. Yeah. So the method of challenging them by Byron Katie, it's 4 questions, and the questions are: is it true? Is it absolutely true? How do you feel when you believe the thought? Or I think it might be actually worded as like who are you without, or maybe that's the last one. Or like, how do you feel when you believe that thought? And the last one is like, who would you be without that thought? Or like, how would you feel? I'd just like to go with the how would you feel, that one. And a turnaround. Yes. I think that's sort of the last step, which is its own step. I haven't done turnarounds so much lately. I've just done like picking, well, I guess it's kind of similar. Sometimes I just pick the opposite thought, which is kind of like a turnaround, but sometimes it's not. It's usually like, these days, it's stuff about myself. It's not so much stuff about other people. God, though, trying to go through that with something when you feel like someone else should be doing something to you is frustrating. I mean, it is helpful, but when you're really strongly blaming someone for something and you need to, for you, stop blaming them, and trying to get out of that is hard. Basically, a specific set of questions with cognitive behavioral effect. I hate the turnaround when it's about other people. Me too, because so the turnaround is basically, if I were to pick a thought that said, let's see, let me think of one here. Like, let's do one that I don't. This is one of those things that always really bothers me about other people's relationships when I see it. But it's like, if I was a very jealous person and I, was like, well, my partner shouldn't hang out with, or like shouldn't be friends with other girls. And the turnaround for that would be my partner should be friends with other girls. And the reason it's so hard is because it's so difficult to let go of that kind of thing. It's so hard. Like that when I have done that before, it has made me like angry. And it took quite a while for me to like calm down from that and actually be able to be productive with it. I do think like there's a balance though of, you know, letting people off the hook for things and not letting people off the hook for things, and you have to find the balance there. Because if you always let people off the hook for things, you will end up like I did in like a 2-year relationship that made me miserable. So don't do that. Don't do that. I figured it out eventually. I got out there. It might have been 3 years. I don't know. I don't want to think about it too hard. It was a long time. So that's kind of the thing. I love going through this with Twink. The is it true? It's absolutely true. Because the funnest part of it is, you know, if you have a thought and you say, like, let's say, you know, for a streamer example, if I said, you know, I'm a bad streamer because I don't get many viewers or whatever. And then, you know, the first thought is like, is it true? And you're just like, yeah, it's absolutely true. And then you go to like, or sorry, not remove the word absolutely, but I'm like, yeah, it's definitely, it's true. Yeah. And then you go to like, can you absolutely know it's true? I'm like, well, no. Yeah, you like it when you're asking me the questions. I do. It's much more fun to do this to someone else than to have to like examine your own stuff. It's not a fun time. Anyways. Let's see. That's all. Those are all notes I don't need right now. Yeah, I might just go till 7. My head's starting to hurt. Why is not a bad streamer? No, I know I'm not a bad streamer. I'm a good streamer. I'm still just figuring. I'm just a little bunny figuring out what the heck I'm doing still. And that's okay. The universe honestly has been sending me signs that I'm doing the right thing, so. Oh! I just threw my ring off my hand. Bunny? I'm Bunny. Yeah, I was reading, do I have it near me? I was reading this book again. I lost it for a little bit and then I found it again. This book. Which I love. That was actually the sister ring. I'm gonna go pick it up. If you'll just excuse me 1 second. I did just throw it across. Oh, we're just gonna have sips. Yeah, this is, as an aside, this is my, it says sister. It might be kind of hard to see, but it says sister on it. I've never realized that. Yeah. Found. So much hydration. Right, but I've been reading this book lately, and one of the lines in it, I think I also posted this on like Instagram because I thought it was really good. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but it was basically a line that was like, I'm just a little bunny like dealing with my issues or something like that, and it was excellent. It was a very good one. I like it a lot. Every time I see that one, it makes me happy. I don't know where it is though. Anyway, but yeah, no, I feel like I've been getting signs from the universe that I've been headed in the right direction, which is good, you know. I got into the stream team I applied for when I didn't think I could. I found the ambassadorship program for the Guardians thing. You know, my Twitter and my Twitch continue to grow and stuff. I really have been enjoying what I've been doing. Like, someone I really admire and look up to followed me the other day. I was very excited. So it's okay. I feel like we're getting on the right track. So that's okay. And that brings us to the final point, which is change. POG? So this is kind of like the turnaround thing, but I like doing other ways also. And the 2 parts of this are basically you pick a new thought that you want to think instead of the old thought, and you just like practice it. And you just tell yourself it over and over again. You write pages about it. You know, you do things that a person that believes that thought would do, and eventually you believe it. And that's kind of the whole thing, the whole gig. I am getting very tired, and I kind of just, kind of have to pee, but it's okay. Okay, I got the sippy. But so in that case, for the changing thing, so for the like I'm a bad streamer thought, you could choose the opposite of like I'm a good streamer. And if that's too hard, I actually learned this lately because I was listening to, I believe the podcast is called Unfuck Your Brain. It's very good. You should listen to it. But the woman was talking about how she uses this idea called ladders, which is essentially, you know, at the bottom of the ladder, you have the thought you currently have. And at the top of the ladder, you have the thought you want to have. And then you kind of like choose a thought that's like 1 or 2 rugs up the ladder if the top thought is too difficult. Because sometimes it can be hard if you have it really ingrained that, you know, you're not successful or you're not capable or whatever, or you're not good at what you do. It can be very hard to go right from I'm bad at what I do to like I'm good at what I do. So instead you can say something like I might be good at what I do, or I might not be bad at what I do. And then it's kind of the same thing as the noting and saying, I notice I'm thinking this thought. It's instead of just thinking the thought as a fact, you just kind of get curious about it. And you're like, well, it might not be true. And that's step 1 towards being like, actually, it's not true. Thank you for the hydrant. I'm going to have to go pee again soon. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And then you just practice and you do it again and again and again and again and again. I'm trying to think of the last time I actually did this. Ooh, I know what it was. I know what the last time I did this was. So lately, fun fact, I decided to try out a stream coach. I decided to invest in myself and talk to someone who's been in the industry for a while and have them kind of go over my content and give me pointers about stuff. Sounds like a handstand press-up training, 1 wee step at a time. Yeah, it's always 1 wee step at a time. And I had a brief meeting with the guy and it went well. But for quite a bit after, I was just questioning it. Like, I just felt like I was afraid that he wasn't going to have stuff that was good for me. I was afraid I picked someone who was going to be too heavy on the criticism without like being like, oh, this is good, and that I wouldn't be able to handle it. I was just worried about a lot of different things. I was worried I was going to come out of it regretting having done it. And I just like sat down, and I think it might have been this, because I was trying to convince myself, like, even though I like quote unquote know that like even quote unquote bad experiences can be good, because it's like knowing what doesn't work is also very valuable, even as much as knowing what does work feels good. So but I was having trouble believing it. I was having trouble being like, even if this, you know, even like worst case scenario that this, you know, person doesn't tell me anything I wanted, like anything useful, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's not a thing that worked, it would still be valuable in some way. But I was having a hard time getting myself to believe that. So I literally just like on a random piece here, I just wrote like learning is not a waste of money, like over and over again. I only did it like 10 times, but because I was just like, brain, we gotta get this under control. I'm not messing around here. We're gonna do this. I was just really stressed about it. And then I did it and it went well and I was happy, and I'm quite excited to implement the changes and focus more wholly on like mental health content and so on and so forth. But like, I don't know. I was so stressed about it. I don't know. And I think part of what happened is I saw a Twitter comment about it, like replying to the announcement that like, oh, you can like work with this person now. And I got really stressed about it. And I just kept thinking about it. And I was, dare I say, what's the word? not like obsessed. When you're focusing on something too hard, hyperfixating. I may have been hyperfixating a little bit. It's possible. So that wasn't great. But eventually I got there. Anyways. Oh. I do think, so I talked a little bit earlier. I'm going to pour some more juice. I talked a little bit earlier. I'm going to drink. I've drank a fair amount of this juice already. I think, so we talked about how feelings can be influenced by your thoughts, and like working on your thoughts is one way to work on your feelings and to feel better, sort of thing, because feelings are wily. They're really hard to control. They're impossible to control even, and they're quite hard to wrangle, and most of the time you kind of just have to treat them like a small screaming child and just kind of go, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, no, take your time, it's okay, let it out, it's okay. And it's just, you know, a bit of a thing. You got to treat it like a baby. Is hyperfixating genetic? It might be, but we do have some control over our thoughts, and we do have control over our actions, and like those are the places that are best to focus, because that's where you have control. That is a big, you know, facet, I think, of this whole thing about just self-growth in general, is figuring out what you do and don't have control over. God, I'll probably have to do a whole talk on that, because I was on my drive back to my student place, to this place, I was just thinking about control, and I was thinking about all the things we like think we want to control and think we can control versus the stuff we can actually control. And I think we always try to control the wrong things. We try to control our circumstances, we try to control other people, we try to control our feelings. And that sounds bad, but we all do it to some extent without, you know, necessarily even knowing it. Because whenever we want other people to change, that is us wanting to exert our control over them. And once you let go of that and realize you cannot change people, you cannot change circumstances, and you kind of let go of that and you focus on you, it becomes a lot easier. Oh God, that could be a whole other thing. I should probably save this for another night, because I'll get really excited about it. And then I'll talk for like a long time. But I was having this whole like thing I was thinking about. I just had it in my brain. I think we try to control things to make ourselves feel better. But we try to control things we don't actually have control over. But then we don't like as a whole, we would rather blame other people or circumstances because it's easier, because it's out of our control. Like, okay, I said I wasn't going to get too deep into this. We're going to get into it a little bit. There was this guy I knew named POG who was super fixated all the time. Hyperfixated, sorry. That's cool. That's cool, Lance. But like, I think we do this thing where if you blame someone else for something, you don't have to deal with it. If I say, you know, if I was, you know, a guy streamer, or even not a guy streamer, if I was me right now, right here, and I said, oh, the reason I'm not growing is because there are girl streamers who have like their boobs out, and that's the reason I'm not streaming. The reason that makes it easier for me is it means that I don't have to change anything, because I get to like play the victim and decide that someone else is to blame and there was nothing I could do, so there's nothing I have to do. And it's so much easier to do that than take personal responsibility and be like, okay, maybe my content is just shit, or, you know, I'm not doing the other things you need to grow, or so on and so forth. Okay, I'll be right back again, because I've had a lot of apple juice and I need to pee. So, you know, take a second, do some stretches, stand up, move your body around. It's good for you, you know. Dance, I don't know. I'll be back. Ugh. I'm back. You can't see me, but now you can. I'm back. Lance, Activius rather, not Lance. How are you doing, Lance? Resubscribe with Prime, 3 months. Thank you. Say POG for our 3 months. Can we play tag in the meantime? I don't know why I keep putting my headset back on. I think it's just a habit with my computer because I don't actually need to. It's just like muscle memory. Tippy, you can be it. You will never get me to say POG. It won't happen. What was I talking about? I was talking about control. I don't know anything about tag or chess. God, Sam and I have been watching the Queen's Gambit, and I've never had any kind of interest in chess, but now I'm like, maybe I should learn to play chess. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, I might do a whole podcast on this later, but I'm like a little bit hyped up about it, so I'm just gonna talk about it now. About the control thing. Oh my god. I actually made, I think, voice recordings and not actual notes about it, so that's not helpful. But where was I? We were talking about control. Yeah, because we do this thing and we blame other people, and it just makes it easier on us. Names seem familiar. Weird. And it's fascinating because I think so many, you know, a lot of issues we have in the world are, hold on, I gotta close my window, it's cold. I was way too hot and now I'm a little cold. Maybe you've seen me on League of Legends. But when you find out you're the root of your own problems, yeah, we tend to, like, we just want to be in other people's business and stuff. Like, a lot of the issues, you know, the big issues in the world are people just like getting in other people's business. Like the people who think being gay is wrong. It's just like they want to, not only are they not satisfied to like themselves not be gay, they want to go out of their way to try to make other people not be gay. And that usually, I think, comes back to wanting control. And underneath that is just fear. Because I think the opposite of wanting control and fear is to have faith and stuff. And this is, we're getting a little somewhere else now. But I have a whole thing I realized about, you know, for a long time when people said faith, I went like, fit my molds that I know what to expect, otherwise I feel bad and that's your fault. Exactly. People just, it's interesting though, because it's like, I totally understand on some level wanting everything to just go the way you want it to. God, life would be so much easier if people just did what you wanted them to and things always went your way, but that's not how it works. And expecting or trying to make that happen is only going to make you miserable. And I think, yeah, I said the opposite, I think, of fear is having faith. And I have issues with Christianity and Catholicism, which I won't get into right now. But obviously I respect that people can practice anything. It just makes me uncomfortable. So I just don't practice it myself. But I've recently learned about faith in a way that I really like and that works for me, because I was like, I don't really want to like do the God thing, but I'm a big fan of the universe. And it being, you know, a swirling ball of energy rather than like a guy in the sky. Anyway. But like on the opposite side of fear and control is just opening yourself up and trusting that things will be okay and that people are going to be okay. And that's really scary to do. And so we don't like doing it. It is, you know, change is scary. New things are scary. And as you can imagine, people don't like being scared. And people will do a lot of things to avoid things they're scared of, when a lot of the time the things you're scared of aren't actually that scary if you really went and confront them. BOS? Thank you for the tier 1 subscription. That is the 5th month for you. The 5th month indeed. POG. Was I supposed to say boss? BOS? Boss. Yeah, but we'll do wild things to go out of our way to just not POG, POG, POG. One day I'm gonna slip and I'm gonna say it. It's too bad. Saida, I can't believe you. POG. I think it's short for big ol' sky dude. Yeah, that's fair. I had to Urban Dictionary POG. I almost said it that time because I wasn't expecting it because it wasn't Sam or someone. Word. Oh boy. Lola. Okay. Anyway, but mom joined the cause. If I go after Western religions, they're all like punish sin and shite. The Tao is where it's at. Be like water. Knowing others is, oh god, intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. I agree. I say I'm not gonna get into things and then I get into them, but I realized I was having a talk about this. I feel like some of the fundamental stuff about Western religions like Catholicism, whatever, that's like, you know, be nice to people and like help the poor and stuff, like that's good stuff. But yeah, I definitely take issue, first of all, with like, oh, you're just sin and you're gonna commit sin and there's nothing you can do, so you have to spend your whole life repenting. Like that is the recipe for, I don't know, like I don't want to feel guilty my entire life and try to be making up for stuff that I don't feel like is wrong. Like I'm very gay. I'm not apologizing for that. That's not happening. I also realized lately that I don't like the anthropomorphization of God. Like the reason I like the like universe thing is I believe, you know, I believe in something. I believe that the universe is like a big swirling ball of energy and it has no feelings, but if you want good things for yourself, it will deliver good things to you. Like Jesus was great. He was all like, be nice to each other. Rich people don't get into heaven, free healthcare. And when they do, they nail them to a dead tree. Yeah, but definitely don't like the sin thing. And I don't love the fact, like I know that, you know, God is like not a person, but we were like made in his image. I just don't like the fact and that people see him like not as a person, but like very much like a person very anthropomorphized, and they talk about like having a relationship with him, and I just don't love that. And I don't love the like, oh, you know, all my success to him, because it kind of like, because if God was a real person, that would just basically be a cult, and that makes me uncomfortable. Anyways, I try to respect people, obviously. I respect people, but I just have some issues with that one, and so generally I don't spend a whole lot of time with people who are big into religion, just because I'm not big into religion, so our stuff doesn't match up. Religions, unfortunately, create boundaries between people. I agree. Plus, there's a whole nother layer of just like people use religion to justify a lot of things, and that's more about people being crap and not so much about religion, but it's not great. It's not great. Yeah, I just prefer, again, to think about, yeah, the universe is just swirling energy. It's not a person. It's nothing like a person. It's just energy. It's not good or bad. It's just there. And it doesn't like, it's not punishing anyone, and it's not like, I just feel like for me that's a nicer way of looking at it than to be like, oh, God decided we all suck, so he flooded the earth, like you're all punished, but then sometimes he's nice and sometimes he hates us. I don't really know. So I prefer to think of the universe as energy, and you just attract the kind of energy you put out, and if you put out very high frequency energy, the universe will respond with high frequency energy, and that to me is just makes me feel better. You know, I still like believing there is something, because I do think there's a kind of magic to the world that we can't really explain. Like, consciousness is a wild thing, like, because somewhere there's a disconnect for me between, you know, I'm made up of cells and molecules and chemicals and stuff, and that's what everything I am is. but somehow that has created consciousness. Like somewhere in there, I'm like, oh no, there's some magic. There's definitely some hullabaloo happening in there. So I'm not an atheist, but I'm like agnostic. Is that it? I'm about the universe. And so again, lately, because of this book, I think you mean your conscience, but what if it's losing? No, I mean, I do mean like consciousness. I mean the fact that we can think and analyze and connect with people, and just the very fact that we're alive and experiencing things. Like, I don't understand how chemicals have turned into this, if that makes sense. That, if I think about that too long, I just like have a moment. Anyway. I mean, your conscience is part of that. Anyway, I was reading this book and she talks about God. And of course, when I started this chapter, I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about God. If this is gonna be a religious book, I'm not about it. But she kind of, I think, has the same sort of feeling that I do, and I think this was one of the things that I was like, okay, that I vibe with that, which is like, you know, thinking about faith not as like religion, but faith as in like believing in something that hasn't happened yet, or like believing in something without proof. I like that. And then when you get into a practice of gratitude and you get into a place of really being able to appreciate where you're at and what you have, and then appreciating what you will have in the future, that's the good stuff. That's where you really get into the good times. I will say also, presently, my big thing lately has been trying to work on enjoying the journey, shall we say, because I'm in a place right now, as I'm sure some of you are too, partly because of COVID. What if is a matter of perspective? What if it is a matter of perspective? Oh. If you practice being grateful with what you have, it makes it easier to be. Yeah, I'm trying to practice enjoying the journey, and it's hard sometimes because COVID is a thing, and that has made life more difficult in some ways. It's much harder to see people. I haven't been able to go to Florida this year, which I usually do. And, you know, my life has experienced a little bit of upheaval. And I also am in the middle of more school, and as much as I'm happy for what I'm learning, I'm so sick of being a student. I'm so sick of just like doing assignments and tests, and I just want to be creating stuff on my own, which I am. And just like the slow growth of content creation, because that's just how it is. I just would really like to be like 2 years in the future, because I feel like, you know, I'd be done school. I would be much further along than I am now. You know, I might be living with my smoochie who has moved to Canada. But there's just a lot of things that I feel like I'm just kind of waiting for. And so something I've been working on, not that hard, I could stand to work on it harder, has been enjoying where I'm at. And I think a big part of that is doing more gratitude stuff. And one thing I was practicing lately, and I think I did make a tweet about this, so I'm gonna see if I can find it, because I think I worded this in a good way. But it was something along the lines of, every time I was thinking about something I wanted to get done that day and like didn't want to do, like, I think it was a day where it was like I needed to like make a phone call, and I don't like making phone calls, and I needed to take my car in to get the winter tires on, which is just kind of a whole thing, like it's the whole thing. But every time I had something like that to do, I would just sort of be like, okay, no, I want to do this, because even if I don't care about the action directly, I care about the result and the benefit. So it's like, you know, getting my winter tires on. I want to get my winter tires on because I care about my safety. I want to be safe. Because I think the other thing that's interesting that we can get into sometimes is when we'll just be like, oh, I have to like do this thing. I have to go grocery shopping. But it's like, you don't actually. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. And when you start realizing that on the level of being like, instead of saying I have to do something, being like, well, I want to do something, and then here's the benefit of the thing I'm doing, I think that immediately can help shift something in your mind. I actually do have to go grocery shopping. I went today and I didn't want to, but I'm glad I did it because now it's done. And I had miso soup for dinner and it was great. And I'm, thriving over here with canned foods. Yeah, and I planned out my meals and we're having a good time. It's great. Okay, we're thriving over here. We're thriving. I'm stacked on frozen veggies, but I really think it is about, in that sense, like shifting your perspective. You should see the canned food here. We won't eat groceries for years. I'm home while you're here. You didn't text me. Get called out. But again, I think we can get so bogged down with like feeling the weight of obligation and stuff that, and I know for me, as soon as I feel obligated to do something, I suddenly don't enjoy it so much. And that, that was definitely a thing throughout school, which was like, I'm a big reader, but every time it was like, oh no, you have to read this for school, I just lost all motivation to do it. So I think it's a really good thing to look at things you have to be doing and reframe them as things you want to do and focusing on the benefit. And the more you do this, the more your brain gets used to doing it. God, I should really do it more. Okay, we're gonna do some right now. You ready? You ready? Number one is I'm going to pause for a second, even though I don't want to pause, but I need to go to the bathroom. And because I don't want to be uncomfortable, because I care about my comfort, and I will be right back. I did it again. I went to put on my headphones, even though I don't need to. Time for a coup, it seems. Or soup. Those are really just two words that sound almost the same, but they're not the same. That sucks. Okay. What was I talking about? I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, we're going to do a couple of the things. Right. So, things I have to do. Are you mocking us? No. Things I have to do right now. Need to finish cleaning my room. But I don't need to. I want to. I want to clean my room because I feel better when my room is clean and I want to feel better. I have several projects to do. And I want to do them because I want to do well in my course, because I want to get my diploma, because I want to both have the knowledge and the proof of the knowledge for my future jobs. And what else? What else is going on right now? I don't know. I feel like in the last 2 days I did a lot of things that I didn't really feel like doing, but I did it anyway. I'm also going to continue watching the Bug Snacks gameplay because I'm enjoying that. And I deserve that. Yeah. I'm also gonna cook food and not just eat Poke Bowl every single day, even though I want to. Because I care about my health and my finances, and I want to cook. And I'm going to cook. It's going to be good. And tomorrow I think I might make burrito bowl. That's the plan. But yeah. You want to move the bot. I do. I'm planning to get back. I wasn't really good when I was home, but we did go for a lot of walks when I was home. But I'm planning as of tomorrow. I thought about it today, but I had to wake up early to go to class at 8. So I just was like, I'm not going to make myself. But tomorrow, again, I'm going to start doing like 10-minute workouts right when I get up in the morning because those made me feel good. And I liked getting it done immediately because I like had something done and stuff. And that felt good. It was good. Man, I want to eat Poke Bowls every day. The Poke Bowls I get, they don't totally agree with my stomach. They don't like make me explode the way some things do, but they're not ideal, but God, are they friggin' tasty. Anyways, by Twinkle Toys redeem hydrate. Thanks. Oh, I'm sleepy. I'm going to go to bed at a decent time because I want my sleep schedule to be good. In the last 2 days, I stayed up late because I didn't want to deal with what I had to do the next day. Thank you. Thank you for all of the hydrates. Y'all must really care about me. Thank you. But I am feeling better today. I mean, the next week is going to be pretty busy because I have like I have 2 full projects that are due and then 2 projects where a part of it is due in the next week. Drinking water and a wine. I mean, I have my apple juice in a teacup, so bed by 10 is the goal so my mornings are happier. I honestly, like, even 10 is late for me. I mean, late, like, the last 2 minutes has been 11, which is super late for me. Oh, Colton wants to be included. Time for another bathroom break. I was a little late. That's okay. That's okay. I think I may wrap her up there. My head is a little bit hurting and I'm very sleepy and I just, having a time. Maybe I'll try to go till 7:30. 7:30 is a nice time to end. What do I talk about for 10 minutes? I really need to cut my hair. I need to stay consistent with the 10 p.m. bedtime I set for myself. I will say I really enjoy getting up early. I stayed up late last night because I forgot that I had a meeting in the morning. Yeah, I also kind of stayed up late last night. I stayed up till like 10, just like hanging out with my roommates, which was nice. It was nice because I haven't seen them in a while. But then after that, I just stayed up looking at my phone because I didn't want to get up in the morning and go to class. But I did it and it was fine. What am I doing tomorrow? Tomorrow I have 2 events to work, but not 3 anymore. It was 3, but now it's 2, which is nice because that'll give me time to edit stuff. Another thing, I think I've talked about this maybe before, but one of the things I do for productivity, and I think we'll maybe do a whole episode about that at some point, but one of the things I do for productivity these days is I try to pick like 3 big things that I have to get done. So like let me get out my list. So today, hold on, where's my list? My to-do list for today was class, groceries, clean room, stream. So that was actually 4 things, but I don't know that I necessarily count streaming because it's kind of a fun thing, but those are like, and then I had like edit question marks. It was like, if I have time and energy, I'll do that, but if not, that's fine. And then I got all those things done, and that makes me feel really good. I love finishing my to-do lists, which is why, again, I try to do like 3 big things. And usually there's some like little small things, but I try to have like the 3 big things I really want to get done. And that's usually pretty manageable because I think trying to do like having, it's okay to have a to-do list. And I have a to-do list of like things I just need to do sometime in the next week. But as soon as you start piling stuff onto your to-do list, like more than you can possibly get done, you're in trouble. I sometimes, again, put stuff where I'm like question mark, or I just put stuff and the important 3 things I like star, because like those are the main focus, and if I get the other things done, great, and if I don't, it's okay because I got the most important things done. And this is really this doing, like, expecting less things and trying to front load my days where I'm like, okay, I want to get this thing done in the morning and these 2 things like done before the afternoon has been very helpful, because I like having my nights. And I basically, if I have something to do after 5 o'clock, it is unlikely I'm going to do it. Sometimes I add something I've already done to my to-do list so I can cross it off. I also do that sometimes, especially on my, like, I have an actual agenda somewhere, and I really like doing it with that. It just, I don't know, yeah, it makes me feel fancy. But I've also just been doing, like, on my phone to-do list, because I find that is, like, easier than looking around the thing and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's nice. And I find that, I don't know, I feel like I used to try to, like, expect so much more from myself and get so much less done. And again, like, I tweeted about this today, but I sometimes, like today, I did class and I was so tired, and I had the rest of my Pokeball and I had a nap, and I knew I had to grocery shop, and I, like, didn't want to, but I was like, I need food, and then I can make, like, miso soup for dinner. So I made myself excited by being like, I'll make miso soup for dinner and it's gonna be a good time. And my roommate went with me, so I had company, and we went grocery shopping, and I get back and I was just so friggin' tired. And then I had like a 15-minute break of just watching Bugsnax. And then I was like, okay, I have like an hour and a half before I need to go make dinner and start prepping for my stream. And I just want to clean my room. So, but I just, like, didn't have it in my brain. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get my playlist out, and for 2 songs, I'm going to clean. And then when I'm done that, I'm going to go watch like 5 more minutes of Bugsnax, and then 2 more songs of cleaning. And I got my room in pretty decent shape just doing that. And then I went and made miso soup, and it was great. And here I am. So that was really good, because I think, like, I'm also really trying to practice doing things when I don't feel like doing things, because I'm someone who's very in tune with myself, and that's a really good thing. But also there was quite a while where I would just, like, if I didn't want to do something, I'd be like, oh, well, my body doesn't want me to do it, so no. Well, that's not true. If your body tells you not to do something, you probably shouldn't. It was my brain being like, I don't really feel like doing this, and so I just wouldn't. And I would wait for motivation, or try to get motivation to do things, when it really works the other way around, and you have to, like, go do things to get motivation. And especially with school and stuff, because it's often stuff that I'm not, like, jazzed about doing. Like, it's fine, I'm just not, like, excited about doing it. That is really the time when I have to, like, be like, okay, no, we have to, like, do the thing. We're gonna do the thing. Lance just tried to bully me. I'm sorry to hear that. But it's become a lot easier, and I feel good when I get things done, even if, you know, while doing it, I wasn't having a great time. I just feel so much better working towards stuff. And I think it's really helped that, you know, I finally, 22 years into my life, I finally really solidly found my drive for the first time. I finally figured out what I wanted to do and dove headfirst into it, even though I was freaking terrified. Although I realized lately, I was listening to a different podcast called Acting My Age with, I think her name's like Rohini Elise. She's just like I think she's like an Instagram influencer, but I like listening to her talk. And she was talking about wanting to open a cafe, and that was like her big dream, and she wasn't enjoying doing YouTube anymore and that kind of thing. Hi James, thank you. They are nice glasses. They're new, although I popped the lens out of one lately, and then I sat on the floor and cried, but it's fine. It just be that way sometimes. But anyway, I was listening to her talk about, you know, her dream for opening like a cafe, and like she was talking about how she was kind of terrified of doing it, and just how that was kind of like part of it for her, you know, that you kind of have to be a little terrified to get to stuff. You kind of have to be scared to dive into things, because that's how you know it's right. If you're not scared, it means you don't want it that badly. Yeah, thank you, Sam. God, someone, that's really funny. One of those people said something about my forehead, and I always think it's funny when people like insult my like forehead, because I think like one time in middle school someone did, and I was like, you really couldn't think of anything better than like this? Really? Like, I feel like there are so many other things you could insult me on, and this is what you went for? Come on, no creativity. Good try though. Anyway. But again, I got a big forehead because I got a big brain. But again, like, I think that's a big thing, and that's why it's so hard to gonna kiss your forehead. Yeah, lots of real estate for smooching. But like, there's people are scared to go after their dreams. I was scared to start streaming. I was scared to go into like an arts field and so on. But like, when you're scared to do something, sometimes it's because you want it to work out so bad that you're scared of trying, because what if you fail, you know? Because it's like, if I honestly put my all into like broadcasting and content creation and so on and so forth, and I just somehow failed to such epic proportions that I could never work in the field again, which, like, I don't even know how that would happen, but I would be gutted. Like, I don't know what I would do, because this is what I want to do. So, you know, it's important to have that kind of fear, because that's how you know you really care about it. You know, it'd be that way sometimes. I'm getting tired. Oh God, I just realized how bad my posture has been for the last bit. Nobody called me out on that. Shame on you all. Although I realized I was not sitting super close to, like, oh wow, now I'm very tall. I'm very big now. Be big, be tall. Okay. It is 7:30 and I am sleepy. So I think I will end the stream here. Usually I'd probably go another half hour, but I want to go watch Bugsnax and eat popcorn. So that's how it is. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. I hope you had a good time, because, you know, we started talking about self-confidence and then we just went elsewhere. I don't know. But I was thinking, I don't know, I have no real, like, plans in my life yet, other than the fact that I know I want to do, like, I'm gonna do Wednesday/Tuesday, I don't know which day. We're gonna do 2 streams a week, and it is going to be all mental health content, and I'm planning on having, like, Saturdays be like a little more structured, even if it's just me, like, and sometimes we'll have guests and it'll be more of a conversation, and sometimes it will just be me. And I mean, like, I think we'll try to have topics, but, like, as you can tell, I kind of just go off elsewhere, and I'm trying to let that be and not overplan so much, because it causes me stress. So I mean, we might just have 1 stream a week that's more like just chatting, and then we might have one that's podcast or both. I don't really know what the difference is. I just chose just chatting tonight because I was like, I feel like I don't have the energy of a podcast host today. But I don't know. I had a good time tonight. I'm happy we had this chat. I hope y'all enjoyed the fact that I went all over the map. And now I'm going to briefly look at who is online that we can raid to, because I remembered to raid today. Let's see. Yeah. Who are we going to go to? We're going to go see Ms., I think. I had a good time. Love you. I love you too. Thank you all for coming. We're gonna go raid Ms. Plays Badly. And I'm going to put on my headset now because I want to hear what is happening. Oh, Okay, just kidding. We're going to Chimera. Okay. Fair enough. Fair point. Whatever you want. You are lucky I was 1 second from the enter button. I'm gonna deny my own request, BRB. Wait, what? What do we? I'm so confused. Are we raiding Chimera? Who are we raiding? I wasn't quick enough. I mean, we can raid him if you want. I just was picking someone I haven't raided in a bit, but you can guide the raid if you want to. Did you refund your points? Because if you did, then you don't get to guide the raid. It's not allowed. Okay. I can't tell if you refunded your points or not, so. But I feel like these people will enjoy Miz, so. We're going to go to Miz unless you give me some indication that you have not refunded your points. Okay. Refunded. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna make sure this is on and it's working. And it is. So we're going to go raid Miz. I hope y'all had a good time. I love you. Have a good night. I will be back on Saturday doing a podcast with a guest, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Very excited. I think we're going to talk about relationships and COVID and streaming, and it's going to be a good time. So I hope I will see you there. Have a lovely day, night, afternoon, whatever, wherever you are, so on and so forth. I do a big yawn. Okay. All right, off we go. Bye. Bye-bye. Have a good time. Have a good time. Bye-bye.